Hey ladies and gentlemen of the internet, Adrian here, and welcome to yet another vlog. I'm super excited because today we're going to put together the actual studio and office, or at least the main part of it, and that is the desk. This is the biggest part I've been waiting for to really kind of put together. My idea is to build off of my existing desk, which is a IKEA Eckenbachen kitchen countertop. It's a very common IKEA hack. It's similar to that of the Carlby. And this is the 98-inch edition that I'm using right now. And the reason I did the Eckenbachen is because it comes in this kind of marble-like finish, which matches the aesthetic here. I've had mine on two Alex drawers. I recently just added the furniture stands, added a middle leg for support when I first built this. And now the idea is to expand it by adding a second one to the setup and forming an L-shaped desk. For those of you who know or followed my original videos back in the day, my home office in Japan featured an L-shaped desk, and I've always loved those L-shaped desks. I used to be a big fan of the aesthetic of like an L-shaped glass desk. This time around, I want to build it off of these Eckenbachen countertops. These are kitchen countertops, by the way. People do these hacks because it offers like a really long, in terms of length, desk. However, you don't get a lot of depth. So some people will like mount their monitors to the wall behind it. I've considered doing that with that setup. I'm still figuring out how everything will go. Right now, I just want to build out the foundation that is the L-shaped desk in this video and start finally getting the studio and office together and build around it. You know, we have to build the backdrop, we got to build out everything else that I want to put in here to really make it my own. But I think the desk is a perfect foundational starting point. So let's jump into it as I build this. The funny thing is I just got home from our office where I built the exact same setup. We put it in our lounge area because we wanted some bar style seating where we can work on the lounge area overlooking the first floor and out the window. So I built this exact same Eckenbachen countertop for there as well. So, second time doing this today. So we got the main four mounts in place, and this is how it looked like with the leg. So these legs aren't IKEA legs. These are like third-party legs, and that's because IKEA is all sold out of their legs right now. However, for my middle leg, since these came in a pack of 4, and I didn't really need 8, I'm going with this IKEA. I had this leftover leg. This is the Adils. I use this mount for this extra IKEA leg I have from my old desk. This is an adjustable one. It's currently what I'm using at my main desk there to add as an extra support. So I'm gonna try that in the middle, see how I like that setup, see how stable it is. And if not, maybe look to add 2 in the middle or some variation of that. And then, ready? You gotta pick up more of it. Oh shit, I'm pretty close. Fuck.
So I think you need to flip it back over and extend the feet, the full inch, I think.
So here is the setup. Right now it's holding pretty well with this desk, or this leg in the middle for the support. I don't think I could add a second one. I'm debating right now. I'm gonna see how it looks like when it's all set up. But that said, I don't plan on putting much weight on this side of the table, like whereas this side is gonna hold all the monitors and the equipment. That's probably gonna be the heavier set side. And again, when I built this over a year ago, I probably should have added 2 legs for additional support. So if you have the same setup, definitely recommend doing 2 legs, probably closer to the middle. Mine's more back middle because I didn't want the leg like hitting wherever I was sitting. That said, I made a big mistake here. So I measured the middle leg floor to top to get the measurements of how long or tall I needed this second desk to sit. I didn't account for the fact that obviously this desk has bowed over the years, and the middle has a little bit of bowing. So that's technically like the shortest distance from the middle to the bottom, whereas I should have measured this part of the desk, like the top of the furniture riser to the floor, because it's about like, the desk right now, if we're sitting next to each other, is about off by like an inch or 2. Which is a huge bummer. And it's like noticeable enough where they're not obviously even, because the sides are technically the highest point of the desk. It might be kind of hard to see from this angle, but it definitely like bows in the middle. So that was a huge mistake on my part. I'm gonna get everything set up in the L formation, see how off it is, see if it really bothers me. And then worst case, maybe add some like sliders or risers, I should say, to the legs to see if I can kind of even it out. So you can clearly see the misalignment there. Obviously with this being bowed, I knew it wasn't gonna perfectly align in terms of like this was gonna be a little bit bowed in, and you can see that more at this angle. However, I was hoping this would at least meet it like level, not this gap. Now that said, I don't know if it's gonna bother me too much. The plan is to put my tower right here, so I'm just gonna set it up for now, worry about getting that height perfect. These are at their max height in terms of the adjustable feet. I know you can buy like additional risers, and I might test something like that out. Maybe you can put a book there temporarily just to see what it would look like even. You can say I also added 2 additional legs here in the middle to really stabilize the middle, because now all the weights obviously could be in the middle with the monitors and whatnot. And I'm probably gonna move the tower over, so all that weight being in the middle, I do want that extra support there. And you can also see here in the middle, we added those 2 extra legs. That way it gets more support. So not only do you have that one in the middle there, the back middle, but these 2 to left and right flanking it to give it more support without at the same time like blocking. If I'm sitting at the desk, I'm likely not gonna really flail around too much where I'm kicking those. So the idea eventually would be to do some sort of triple mount setup. These are all 3 Dell displays. However, the middle one is a 32-inch curved, where the 2 flanking ones are 27-inch. So they're not all the same size. However, since they all are Dell, the bezels and whatnot are pretty uniform. So the ideal situation, if I didn't have 3 of the same monitors eventually, would be to mount this on a 3 monitor mount that kind of evens them out, at least at the top level. I'm okay with the bottom being a little bit uneven. And right now you can see this one's on its stand, while this one's on a dual monitor mount, or these 2 are on a dual monitor mount. And you would have the triple display setup here. And then right now I have the Philips Hue play bars that I picked up, flanking each one to kind of add some lighting here. I would eventually also, I'm thinking about adding a 3rd one right here, since it supports up to 3 on 1 power supply. That way you have the upward firing light to really complete the look. I don't know what I want to do with it. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I am exhausted. It has been a day. I need a shower, I need to relax. I'm gonna clean up around here, and I think I'm gonna pick up tomorrow, start to kind of put the pieces together. I think I got the foundation laid down, the desks are down. Albeit there's a couple hiccups, but we'll roll with it and get more to organizing and everything in its place starting tomorrow. Alexa, turn on Office. So as you saw earlier, I have my triple monitors, 2 of them on one mount, and then the other one is just kind of freestanding right now. I've been meaning to pick up like an actual triple monitor mount that I can use to have them all uniformed and on the same mount. However, I've yet to actually pick one out that's like perfect dimensions and will fit all 3 monitors. After a lot of tinkering, success. So since these 2 are the same monitors, ideally I just want the top to all be level. I'm okay with that like slight gap since this is 32 and these are both 27s. But yeah, ideally, I'm looking to get a mount very soon so that this is all uniform, because I like the look of this. I'm gonna debate whether or not I want this to be vertical or not, but that's the benefit of having like a good quality mount. You can just kind of rotate it as you need to, as long as you have enough clearance on the bottom to go portrait and landscape here. But yeah, right now I really like the look of them all off of the base stand. Of course, cable management still needs to be done, but at least I have a look and feel for how it'd be. So wire management is nowhere, well, lack of a better word, it's not even close right now. I gotta, once everything is situated in place, I think that's the time I'm gonna really take everything. I'm trying to kind of figure out the routing and the length of cables right now. Once everything is more permanently in its place, the idea would be to use stuff like this right here, which we use a lot at our business network, right, to clean up client sites, like this kind of mesh tubing. The idea is, especially for the back of the PC here, I'm going to install something like this and have all the cables kind of funneled, tied to whatever mount I end up using along the mount, and just really kind of tidy it up and get everything in its place. And the thing with wire management is, like, you want it to be neat and obviously tucked away and hidden, but at the same time, like, if the setup is permanent, since it's such a state of like progress and somewhat chaos right now, a lot of like stuff swapping around, you don't want to like zip tie things and tie things up when you're going to be moving it around a lot. But I am just trying to get it somewhat decent where everything's not just hanging off under the desk there, to be somewhat presentable in its current state. A couple things I am realizing, some initial feedback from doing this whole setup thus far. Cable length is a big thing, making sure that I have long enough cables. That includes the display port cables for all the monitors, includes the headphone cable right now is the biggest thing. So you can see my headphones barely reach from the tower to where I sit, and that's going to be an issue for sure. I want to get a DAC or amp to sit externally on the desk, but for the time being, I think I'm going to order a 3.5 extension cable, and that's the thing I'm trying to figure out now, figure out all the lengths. I need to get some USB extenders so that with the case being over there, all my hard set devices that need to be plugged in can be plugged into the back, and the stuff that is kind of more swapped, whether it's the microphone or the headphones, have the appropriate extension cables or cable lengths for the setup anytime I need to move things around. This side that I added the other day is coming along, as you can see here. I ended up putting this mat that I used to have on my old desk from IKEA, just kind of serve as a desk mat, and it could be, eventually I want to get like an overhead shot here with my camera when I'm filming, and it'll be a good like backdrop in a sense. Currently I just have my MacBook sitting there. I was using that earlier just to work off of on this Griffin elevator laptop stand. And then just adding in the small touches to the desk. I got my Versace piggy bank here, my ukulele, and this is a famous fake IKEA plant accommodated by the real new plant in the space. So yeah, everything is starting to slowly but surely find its place. So as I've been setting up the home studio / office, I've been toying around with a lot of tech that I just found in my storage, like this. One step closer to being Iron Man. Now, all of that is thanks to this tech here by Leap Motion, or they think they were formerly known as Leap Motion. Nowadays, they're known as Magic Leap. This company started out with doing sensors and tech like this Now, while this product's been years old, they've moved into like the AR/VR space. I always thought this was so cool when I picked one up back then, and I haven't toyed around with it in a while. So I figured, why not bust it out and try it out in the new setup and see if I can find some way to integrate it. Check out the cool apps like this one called Shortcuts, which lets you control your Windows environment all through this sensor here. Way of the future. Okay, so a bit of a progress update with the desk and everything in place now. I did get a head start on the basic foundation of the cable management here. Below the desk, you can see I ended up mounting my surge protector to the actual desk itself, which helped free up a lot of space and allow me to use this very famous Sigma IKEA cable tray to be used as solely just that for all those excess cables. And you can see here that really freed up this middle section where all the cables were drooping and whatnot. I still obviously have a lot of loose cables I still need to tie up and whatnot, but the main thing I'm waiting for is the actual proper triple monitor mount to be in place. That way, once I have everything more permanent, it'll be easier to kind of cable manage everything because it's not gonna be moving around a lot. Outside of that, speaking of cables, the other thing I did notice in all this is I'm gonna have to get longer cables for certain stuff that plugged into the back of the PC. So a couple USB extenders. I got some DVI, longer DVI cables. Still need a couple more of those just to be safe. I wanna have longer cables rather than, be just, even if it reaches right now, I'd rather have that extra slack just in case, because I'm still debating where this tower is gonna go. Currently it's sitting on the new, the L corner of the desk, I should say. I toyed with the idea of putting a shelf up here and mounting it so that the side panel is facing out. I thought that'd be a really cool look. Again, that might be a future project, but to do that, either or, I do want to have extra long cables. Eventually everything that's plugged into the back right now that's going to be permanent, I'll just tie all up and make it look nice and neat. And then cables like this, for example, my headphone cable for my 3.5 cable for my headphones here, not long enough to reach the middle optimally. So things like that I need to consider and make sure I account for. Ideally in the future, I'll have like a DAC or an amp sitting right here and USB hubs, so stuff I need to easily access, plug in and plug out is convenient. I don't need to worry about running a long cable across, but I want to have that option if need be. And sometimes, for example, I plug in like a PS4 to controller to game with and whatnot. I just want everything to be convenient and in its place. So longer cables, managing it, all that. Outside of that, future projects for the space and kind of next on the to-do list are, again, the triple monitor mount itself, getting the proper one. I think I found the one that will work for the setup as of right now with these current monitors. I'm just gonna make sure I have the right measurements and then go ahead and order that. Next up is the actual acoustic paneling and soundproofing. You can see on Amazon right now, that's exactly what I'm looking up right now. Getting the acoustic panels to help dampen the sound and soundproof things. Right now there's a lot of echo in this room, especially because it is empty. I'm sure as I build out furniture, it'll help out a lot. Obviously having the carpet here helps out a ton as well, but I want to get paneling in all the key spots. So like a bit right in front of me where I'm directly talking towards, so it helps dampen that sound that bounces back. Things like the corner and the, what are they called, like the bass traps. So for these corners, to help dampen sound, and adding all of that in to help make it more optimal of a space for when it comes to recording. So those are the key projects right now. I'm sure there's a lot of other things. I want to get new lighting, a couple more storage options for the entire space, but those are the notable things I want to focus on. One other quick update I wanted to mention was that of the actual rig that's running this entire setup, my workstation / gaming PC that I built a couple months back. I planned as a part of this whole setup update to update the PC as well with a couple extra upgrades, adding more storage I want to do, as well as upgrading this 2080 Super to that of a 3080 once that was announced. However, many of you who may have seen that launch know that it didn't go too well. So yeah, holding off on that until I can get my hands on a 3080. Still rocking the 2080 Super. What I did do, however, was this was previously rocking 32 gigs of G.Skill Trident RAM. I did double that recently to 64 gigs of RAM. Definitely probably overkill for most people, but when it comes to multitasking on the workstation side, video editing, it is nice to have that double the RAM there and double the memory. I have yet to order an additional M.2 drive. I am getting close to filling up the terabyte drive on here, so I do want to get another 2 terabyte storage or something like that to add as like a scratch disk for videos and whatnot, as well as games, which take up a lot of space on here. So those are the 2 other notable upgrades I'm looking forward to: more storage and a better GPU. As of right now, we'll have to settle for doubling the RAM. All right, ladies and gents, as I wrap up the weekend here, it's Sunday afternoon, I just want to, bring this journey of a vlog that was setting up this desk setup and everything to a close. And while I talked about what I want to do with this space going forward, I want to talk about what this space means to me as a whole as I wrap this vlog up at a macro level, because it's legitimate, and some people may be wondering, why do you need a space and why do you need a home office if you've just got a whole actual office for your business and whatnot? And why do you need a home studio if, you're just YouTuber and content creation isn't your full-time gig nowadays? All of those are valid questions. And here's the thing, like, it's funny because nowadays you watch these YouTube channels like the content creators I follow from MKBHD, TLD Today, so many other YouTubers nowadays like have their own dedicated space. And it makes sense at the production level, at the value, at the amount of content a lot of these channels are outputting and the level they're doing it at. It makes sense across the board, financially, mentally, physically, XYZ, to have the space that they do and to invest in it. From my financial advisor perspective, from a YouTube perspective, no, I'm by no means at that level where I can justify having like a full-on studio for it. But renting out, keeping this extra bedroom in my apartment and converting it to that, definitely makes sense to me across multiple levels, even if it's, financially more expensive to have. Because yes, I could have downsized, I could have got a smaller apartment, even with my girlfriend moving in. But prior to all that, I already made the mental decision, the financial decision, that when my roommate moved out, before my girlfriend committed to moving in, I was going to take over this entire apartment for myself. Yes, that's a huge financial responsibility, just living in San Francisco, paying the rent that you do. But I knew this space would pay back in a multitude of other areas. Because I, for one, grew up in this kind of work from home environment and culture. I shot videos for over a decade in my bedroom until my sister moved to college, and I turned her room into my room, and then I turned my bedroom into an official home office. That was the first time I felt like I had this legitimate space and my career was valid in what I was doing, because I got to call that space my home office. Even if I was just recording YouTube videos and recording videos for my clients at the time, it made me feel legitimate. The career I pursued and was building at the time, even by my family, wasn't viewed as this legitimate career path, and understandably so, because nobody really knew the potential and the future it would have in the way the internet would play out. I knew people who went to office jobs. I knew people who would commute to go to work, people who would go to buildings on the 37th floor to go to their office or their cubicle. I walked 5 steps across my hallway to get to my home office, and that's where I conducted business. I even created this mental shift where I wouldn't walk into the office until I showered, changed into a suit, and would walk to that office ready to work, even though it was just me. Even if on that given day I wasn't recording a video, I suited up or I changed in some capacity. Did I have my off days? Yeah, I'm sure I did. But that was a standard I set, because that's how serious I took the job and the career and the businesses I was building. And now, full circle, even though our business network, has its own official office, and I arguably spend more time throughout the work week there than I do here, when I get back home after that work day, I start another work day. I walk through this doorway and I'm in my new studio/office. So that means it's a space for me to conduct more work for Network Right. It's a space for me to shoot videos for YouTube. It's a space for me to do stuff for Digital Dojos. It's a space for me to work on other projects that I have going on behind the scenes. It's my creative outlet. It's my extension of everything that I do, and it's a space for me to do that in private and have my own space to do that without interrupting the living space. I don't have to kick my girlfriend out of the bedroom when I'm recording a video. I don't need to kick or, go into the living room to work and whatnot. And, yes, in this climate, we're in this whole work from home culture and situation where I'm empathetic because I understand not everybody has the privilege and capacity to have their own dedicated space. But I've worked hard and long in that, I can justify whether or not it makes sense to have my own space, to have space to create content, to have space to just kick back, relax, and make it a gaming setup or, a lounge setup. I get to define what this space is. I get to define how I use this space. I get to design the space, how I see fit. I get to invest in the equipment that I want. And that in itself is priceless. And that in itself is worth it to me because of the background and how long I've spent in this space and doing what I've done over the last 14 plus years. To have a space to call my own, even if it's an apartment, that's worth it to me. All right, ladies and gents, it's been a long one. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. Thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And I'll catch you all